Hello there, welcome to the Play for the Dragon podcast, Wales sports music, not always in that order. We've decided to do a special emergency pod, as we were referring to it in the group chat, because Sam, did you completely forget about the squad announcement as well? Because it's crept up on me and I didn't realise it was coming.
The international break completely is pretty much crept up on me, to be honest. It feels like the season's only just started, it's bang international, which I'm never going to complain about or anything, but it's just that feels, I don't know, everything's sort of blindsiding me at the moment with all this, you know?
I think football in general has just crept up on me this summer because there was the big break. Well, there wasn't really a big break, was there? So we had the Olympics and the Euros before, and then the season sort of ended a couple of weeks before that. So It's all been sort of shoehorned into a month or two, which is great because there's always been something
spoiled, on. Yeah, spoiled.
We really have. So we'll just talk about the squad announcement and we'll go rattle through the EFL Cup results as well. Bit of a mixed bag for the Welsh sides in the English Football League. I'm going to try and make sure the technology doesn't get the better of me. We're going to have a little chat because Rob Page announced his first Wales squad since Euro 2020 on Tuesday. It is basically a copy of the actual Euro squad from the summer, really.
Much of a muchness, yeah.
So let's have a look at the 27 men who were named. Very seamless transition there. So a lot of the usual suspects in there. Should we start at the top and work our way down?
Aye, definitely. Well, we've got Wayne Hennessy, Danny Ward, and Nathan Davis as the goalkeeping options. Now, good and bad news for that, really, isn't it? Because neither of those three have been playing football. Neither of them. Well, neither, that means two. But none of them have been playing football. Although Wayne Hennessy had a bit of a hero's appearance for Burnley last night, didn't he, in the EFL Cup? Made a couple of great saves, went to penalties against Newcastle.
That was it. I think they beat on penalties, didn't they?
They 2 penalties. So he'll be feeling nice and big and ready to go. So Wayne Hennessy is probably for the first time in a long time, we can say he's been playing football. So, I mean, Wayne, with his performance against Newcastle, maybe he could sort of give Rob Page a nudge and sort of remind him of the quality that he has. You know, Danny Ward obviously taking the number one spot during the Euros. What do you think about that, man? Do we think you'll see Wayne Hennessy getting an appearance? Maybe not in the World Cup qualifiers, but perhaps in a friendly against Finland?
Yeah, I definitely agree with that because, we are in that awkward predicament where neither of our two top goalkeepers are sort of holding down the number one jersey at the club, It's not really through any fault of their own. They've got really high-level number ones in the Premier League in front of them. But, yeah, you'd always say sort of in a friendly match, you're probably going to play your second choice keeper to keep the other one fresh because there's only 4 days between the friendly on the 1st and then the qualifiers on the 5th, and big bit of travelling in between as well. I don't know. Do you reckon? Should we get that out of the way now? Actually, do you reckon they're going to travel straight from Helsinki to Belarus, to Kazan? Sorry, not Belarus. Or...
Possibly. I mean, it's definitely closer, isn't it? I mean, Finland is on the border with Russia.
Yeah.
So it makes sense. I mean, going back to Wales and then back to Moscow, to Russia would be a bit of a silly thing to do. But I mean, it's just, this is probably, there's a lot of things to be annoyed about, I think, actually, which is a bit weird for the Wales squad. Usually it's such a good atmosphere and everything going into the international break. But I don't know, for me, it's something that's really annoyed me, that UEFA's decision to move the game from Minsk to Kazan. Never even heard of Kazan before. I don't think that makes me ignorant. I just think it's not really exactly like the most well-known place in Russia, for example. But I mean, from Cardiff to Kazan is 2,500 miles distance. Well, from Minsk in Belarus to Kazan, it's 1,000 miles. So they pretty much, doubled near enough doubled the amount of traveling to do. Kazan is much further to the east than Moscow, for example. Why wouldn't they put it in Moscow? I have no idea why they're doing it. So it's causing what Robert Page called a massive logistical problem for the Welsh squad, where they're now going to have to get their fingerprints taken, I think. Because, I mean, Russia has always been a bit like this with immigration and entering and exiting the country. They have to, they're very, very strict. They have to know where you're staying. They have to know, see your tickets and everything before they grant you visas and stuff. So it's just a nightmare for the Welsh squad in that sense. With them all not actually being at the international camp yet as well, still probably being with their clubs and stuff with the games that are coming this weekend. They're all in different places. Now, how do you organise that? How do you organise them going to the authority, the immigration, or the what do you call it, the embassy, or wherever they have to get their visas sorted, to get their fingerprints taken? It's just another example of UEFA seeming to just stand all over the Welsh squad with no provocation or nothing. I really failed to get my head around it. In the Euros, it was a nightmare. We were playing, the furthest hour. We travelled the most out of everybody. Honestly, the amount of air miles that the Welsh squad are going to build up during this, they'll be holidaying for the rest of their lives for free. It's just a joke. Do you have any insight into this? Because I just don't understand it personally.
Well, to the best of my knowledge, there's all that political stuff going on in Belarus at the minute with their elections, so they're about to move the game because I think it's the UK and a few other countries have imposed sanctions on the Belarusians, Yeah. So the UEFA have moved the game to a neutral venue, and there's going to be no fans yet again through no fault of the Welsh. And it just seems that, I don't know if it's because it's happened a lot recently, but it does seem to feel like a lot of the UEFA policies are starting to stack against us in terms of like games being moved about and the extra travelling, because it does have quite an effect on the players. And as well, when you're travelling that far, you lose it. I don't know how long it takes to fly like an extra 1,000 miles. Imagine it's a few hours,
possibly
2-3 hours. I'm not entirely sure, but it's going to take time off sort of recovery because they're going to be in the air. So you can't really relax that well on a plane. Let's be honest, can you? No. Takes time out of them training as well. They could be getting in camp or getting recovery time in, or just doing gym work, different things like that to get the fitness up. Because you look at that squad, how many players have sort of played the 4 or 5 games for their clubs consistently at the start of the season? I know Moore missed a few games at the start of the year because he was tired from having to play 50 plus games last year for Cardiff and Wales.
It's just a nightmare. I mean, there's been sanctions on the Belarusian government for ages for the way they handled protests and stuff like that, wasn't it? I mean, it was a sort of, I don't know, not to go too far into that or anything. So I think we knew it wasn't going to end up in Minsk, but it's just that the decision to put it so far deep into Russia is just baffling. I mean, I don't know what the stadium's like in Kazan. I don't have any idea or anything, but Moscow's closer. I think St. Petersburg is closer. Why wouldn't they put it in one of the big cities? Why wouldn't they put it in a place where you don't literally have to double your travel? So,
or even somewhere between the two countries, like I don't know where the sort of middle point would be in Europe, maybe somewhere like Poland or the Czech Republic.
Yeah.
So put it in one of the stadiums there.
Helsinki, Belarus and Finland are extremely close. You know why I know? Because there's that band, isn't there, Molchat Doma, who do the sort of, and they're from Minsk, and they like always do gigs and stuff in Finland because it's so close. They're like dead well known there before they're well known anywhere else. Why don't they just do it in Helsinki? That would be wicked. just stay there, have a little cold weather camp in Finland. I don't know.
This is a great idea. UEFA don't really do sensible policies when it comes to football, do they?
We should be working for UEFA, lad. This is what it is.
They should have fan forums, honestly. It'd be a great idea to get some ideas on.
But that's annoyed me. And it has sort of maybe tarred the atmosphere going into the international break as well. Because instead of thinking, we've gone to the knockout stage again in another major tournament, we can really crack on from this, make a really good, we're doing well in the group. We could, I think, if we win both those games, we go top of the group, at least for a little while. We could be thinking these things, but no, we're unfortunately having to think, we've been screwed over again. It feels like everyone's against us. Why is this happening to us? No one else, So it's kind of dampened the excitement for the possibility of going top of the group, for the World Cup qualifying campaign. So I don't know. It's a shame. But anyway, let's stop worrying too much about that, and let's move on to the defensive options.
Okay, so we've got Chris Gunter, Ben Davis, Ethan Ampady, Chris Meffam, Joe Roden, Nico Williams, Tom Lockyer, James Lawrence, and Reece Norrington-Davis. Quite a, I'd say a fairly strong sort of pack of players considering, what we've had in the past. And obviously we're missing Connor Roberts. He's still a couple of weeks or maybe a month or so away from being back. But did see Russell Martin after one of the games come out and say he's looking forward to getting him back in the squad and training. So it seems like a player will get game time at Swansea, which is one of the main themes in this defence. I can't see a lot of players like the goalkeepers that are getting that much game time. think Davis has maybe come on for Spurs once or twice as a sub. I'm not entirely sure. I think he started in the EFL Cup. He usually does sort of a second option to Reguilon these days. But yeah, I think we were saying before, Cabango is not there as well. He's isolating due to COVID. I think they've had a bit of an outbreak in the Swansea camp. And there's one other player that, Joe Rodon, isn't it? There's a doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sort of crept up on us, that one, isn't it, Joe Rodon? He hasn't featured for Spurs at all, not just in the Premier League, but they're in the Europa Conference League, aren't they? So I think he would have been one of those sort of assured to feature in that game. He wasn't able to. Nuno Espirito Santo has gone and said that, it's not like he's on the sidelines. He's just not quite there yet. So there is maybe the possibility of him featuring, but I don't know how happy the Tottenham boss would be if he were to feature, But we need Joe Rodon. I think we all can agree that in the Euros, he's one of the sort of shining stars for us, really, Joe Rodon, and he's sort of become the heart of our defence, you could say. He's mouthy, he's big, he's strong, he's a bit of a Rolls Royce when he wants to be. I'm definitely going to miss the Joe Rodon lip reading service. That I'm going to miss. But I hope he does manage to feature. I guess it's up in the air at the moment. I'm sure Robert Page knows more than we do on this issue, but it's a shame for him. It's a massive shame for Cabango as well, because with Rodon being out, it was maybe a big chance for Cabango to really sort of just get a nice little run in the Wales squad, because he hasn't. I don't know if he's featured in any competitive games. I know he played against the USA, I think, and Mexico. So it's a massive shame for Cabango. Swansea is suffering. I think they've got is it 10 players isolated?
Yeah,
or something like that?
I think it was since June or July they've had at least 10 players have to isolate. But I guess nowadays you can't really help when things like that happen. It's one of those things. But he's definitely going to be a miss, and you've got to imagine he would have started in the Finland game.
Definitely.
Not that much on the line, is there? It's just an international friendly. Probably trying to get a few of the players that haven't had that much game time, like 45 minutes or an hour in their legs, just so they're a bit sharper for the two qualifiers. Other than that, I'd say Ampadu. He hasn't really featured for Chelsea that much either. I think he played a few friendlies over the pre-season. Gets a decent reaction from the fans most time he plays. They, have a lot of loan players. They loan out every season and they wonder, this guy's quite good. Why don't we play him more often? Yeah. But, when you've got sort of Italian and Croatian internationals and Kante in your midfield, it's going to be quite hard for any 21, 22-year-old to break into that side. 23 now, is he? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think he's around 23, 24, maybe. I'm not sure. But yeah, I mean, with Ampadu, it's a weird one as well, because we, as Wales fans, always see him as a holding midfielder, but it doesn't seem to be that clubs see him in the same way. I mean, he played the majority of Sheffield United's fixtures last season when they were relegated, but he played as a centre-back. I can only think of 2 or 3 times I saw him sort of push up into that sort of sweeping midfield role at number 6 role. So I don't know. Ethan Ampadu, for me, it's been an interesting one, because we if you go back a year and a half ago, he was one of those big shining names for us. This guy's going to be quite big for us. He can revolutionise our midfield in a way, be that really sort of hard knock number 6. But since going to Sheffield United, I would say, in fact, his name seems to have gone down a little bit on the pecking order. Although he's almost a shoo-in to start with the midfield. Well, it depends on the setup as well, I suppose. But he's very likely to at least play in the Finland game. We said it at the time of the Euros. He couldn't get into the squad, really, could he? And that was unthinkable a year or so ago. He was one of the ones that that jersey's his to lose. But in a way, he did kind of lose it for his poor form, especially in those friendlies just before the Euros. So it'll be an interesting one. I'd love to see Ethan Ampadu come out and have an absolute stormer in some of these qualifying games. I'd love to see him sort of just regain the confidence of the manager a little bit, maybe. So we'll see what happens there. If that means him pushing back into defence and sort of maybe fill in the Joe Rodon hole, because, I mean, I don't know about you, but none of the centre-backs, Chris Mepham seems to, Robert Page seems to back him quite a lot. But James Lawrence and Tom Lockyer, neither have really wowed us massively. I would swing more towards Tom Lockyer than James Lawrence, because James Lawrence although he did sort of start quite well recently. He's playing in a 3, and he's left-footed as well, isn't he? Which is a big thing. But he's prone to a few errors, whereas Tom Lockyer, who is playing quite frequently for Luton Town at the moment, I would like to see more of what Tom Lockyer's got to give, because he hasn't really played for the national squad a lot. Again, just in these friendlies like against the USA and Mexico and whatever. So I'd love to see Tom Lockyer play, for example, in the Finland game at least, But yeah, I don't know. Ethan Ampadu, maybe he could go backwards, not back, but fill that back line with Joe Rodon not being there. Again, it depends as well if we play a back 5 or a back 4. I have no idea what he's going to do with Rob Page when it comes to that. I mean, we'll probably get a glimpse of it at Finland, but it could go either way, I suppose.
Yeah, that's the thing with a couple of players missing as well already. You've got, there's a few holes in midfield to fill as well. We'll get onto that in a moment or two. But could even be moving Ben Davies across to centre back again.
Yeah.
Was it one of the friendlies you tried that in?
I think so. I think he did it as well in the Euros for one of the games, which I can't remember which, but not to start, but to just to sort of fill a gap in a change of formation. But I'd be quite happy seeing Ben Davies back in the middle there. He's got the experience to play almost anywhere along that back line, probably, which again is something that we have been missing in the Euros. We're one of the teams with the least caps and everything. So, for these qualifiers, I would like to see some more experienced heads in there. It's not a criticism of Robert Page and previously Ryan Giggs, where always trying to give the youth a chance, trying to get as many caps on as many players as possible, maybe just to tie them down, if anything, as well, to the Welsh squad and stuff. But you could say that, especially in the Denmark game, the way we lost our heads and everything, including the experienced players, has to be said. But you think that a more experienced 11 could possibly just give us that extra push which we were missing at times in the Euros. So for me, I would love to see Ben Davies play. I think Chris Gunter's probably going to start, actually, at least in the Finland game. He's on 102 caps now, is it? Yeah, he's on 102 caps. So, just to boost his caps would be something he deserves, no doubt. He's playing for Charlton this year, I believe, isn't he?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not sure how much he's played this season, but I've got no doubt that he's up to the task and everything. And Nico Williams, who would probably be the other one to fill that gap, he hasn't even been in the match squad for Liverpool. There's been a lot of rumours of him going to some clubs, including Southampton and stuff like this, which has led to him not even featuring in the matchday squad for Liverpool, which he would usually at least be on the subs bench. So Nico Williams will be another one that's calling out for some game time. So maybe it'd be Nico Williams in Finland and Chris Gunter in the other games. I don't know, or vice versa. I couldn't tell you. It's wide open. That defence, I really feel like, especially with Chris Roberts, Connor Roberts, and Cabango and Joe Rodon being out. There's a lot of sort of fighting to do to win that place or those places.
Yeah, definitely. I think, like we've been saying, with the lack of game time, a lot of the players in that defence could maybe see 3 or maybe even 4 of the players who start or sort of feature heavily in the Finland game, sort of starting in the Belarus game because it's 4 days later, isn't it? So it's a bit of time to recover in that, and especially if they're only playing an hour or 45 minutes, and good for him to get some football in the legs. But yeah, I think I don't know. I can't really see us going to a back 5 because Finland. They were probably the toughest team in our group, maybe in the Nations League, would you say? But
Yeah.
they didn't really have a great Euros. I know they had a toughish group.
They beat Denmark, didn't they? But it don't really count with the circumstances around the game.
Circumstances, yeah. But I don't imagine the teams would be that much different because the thing is as well, if we are going to have a few players missing for any international window, I don't want to jinx things, but we've probably got sort of an easier round the games. But wouldn't it be the most Welsh football thing in the world to pick up 2 points and lose a friendly?
100%.
Let's not get into that.
Well, any omissions from the defence? Anybody that you thought maybe deserved a call up in the defence? I can't think of any off the top of my head.
There's a young lad who's playing at Wickham, I think. Let me just see if I can double check his name. He's got the man of the match a few times this season. But a few of the Welsh fan pages on Twitter have been going on about him.
Interesting. I haven't picked up on it. Wickham this year is sponsored by a podcast I listen to in Spain called La Media Inglesa, which is the half English. I just listen to it to help my Spanish because they talk about the Premier League and stuff in Spanish. And it's just a good way to do it. And it's something you know a lot about to listen to them speaking about it in a different language.
Yeah, definitely. I had something to say then to try and fill the gap while I'm just going. Oh yeah, Sam Vokes is at Wickham now as well, isn't he?
He is. He scored the other day.
Yeah, I was going to say he's not back into form. I know they've dropped down to League One this season, haven't they? But it's nice to see him getting a few goals and that. I cannot find this chap's name.
I mean,
he's a right back because they're thinking with obviously Connor Roberts being out and sort of Gunter getting up there and Nico being a bit inconsistent, bringing someone else in. But yeah, I'm not going to find it. So let's just move on to the midfield.
Okay, so the midfield. The first name there is Aaron Ramsey, who again.
Should we get this out of the way first?
No, I mean, it hasn't been officially announced that he's dropped out of the squad, has it? Unless I'm wrong.
No, I saw a BBC Sport article from yesterday, and they're hoping he might be available for the Estonia game because I think it's a mild tear in his adductor muscle, so it's like a thigh injury, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's all come about, isn't it, from a tweet from the Juventus account talking about the fitness of the players, and he said, so like Aaron Ramsey out 10 days, and then they're going to see where he's at or something. He's got a scan, they have to wait for 10 days for the result or something like that.
Yeah.
But it's Groundhog Day.
Exactly. So I saw a stat actually relating to this. So he's missed out on 48 Wales caps in his sort of tenure as an international player due to just plaguing injuries and little niggles here and there. He's on 67 now. I should know this from the trivia we've done. It's off by heart by now. So he'd probably be touching 100 by now. There's another stat where there's another stat I don't have written down, or I've got it like half in my head, but him and Bale sort of together for Wales, they've only started, I think it's in single digit figures, or it's like 12, maybe not that many more than that, games they've started together in the last so many years.
I think the general mood I'm picking up and stuff from Welsh Twitter and everything like this is one of a bit of frustration now of people sort of losing their patience on Ramsey's fitness issues. Like you said, I think, like just under 150 caps they've got together combined, isn't it, Bale? And most of them are Gareth Bale, aren't they? So, I it's a real shame. And I think in the future, fast forward 10, 20 years, we'll be looking back and talking about what a missed opportunity, or what a shame that Ramsey and Bale didn't get to link up as much as they could have, or just Ramsey in his own right has not had the ability to, or not been able to play more games for us and everything. I mean, he's, like you say, he's got 67 caps, 17 goals, which is a decent return from what is, mainly a central midfielder. If he was to have played, he's missed how many? 45, 46? Something like this?
48.
He could have been Wales' most capped player by now, If he was to have been, you think, what could he have done? And it's a massive shame, because I do believe that in the future we'll talk more about Gareth Bale and Ramsey, and it didn't have to have been that way. Maybe, I don't know, but there's questions to be asked, to be honest with you, because it is getting to the point now where it is ridiculous how many matches he's missing because of injury. He's always been an injury-prone player ever since he broke his leg at Stoke. You can't begrudge him that. If he's had an almost career-ending injury and it's stuck with him. It happens to loads and loads and loads of top level players. But then, when it gets to this point and, your patience a bit low and morale seems to be a bit low amongst the fans and everything, you do start to question these things like, well, could he play? And is he just being overly cautious? Is there something else there? I don't want to question it personally. I've got nothing but love for Aaron Ramsey. I do think, you sort of have to trust him on it. But at the same time, nearly 50 caps missed through injury. Could he play? Could he fight through it? You look at other players around the world, like James Milner is an example off the top of my head. He'll play through anything. Could we see more of Aaron Ramsey sort of just playing through injury a little bit? Just sort of striving that bit further. Maybe not. We're not the sports science experts or anything here, but it is frustrating to see him out again. Is there something else at hand? I don't know.
Yes, just really frustrating, like you said, especially when we are so close to qualifying for a World Cup for the first time in over 50, 60 years now. That's the other thing. I remembered it now. So between 2019 and the start of this Euro, or the Euro's just gone, Ramsey had only featured in 3 of 21 matches, and I think they were towards the end of the qualifiers as well, because he scored that goal
Goals
that
get
was
hungry, yeah.
more headed in, yeah. So that's about
Well,
200.
maybe that's the plan, Martin. Maybe that's the plan. He missed all that qualifying campaign, came at the end and won it for us. So maybe that's the plan. Maybe he's going to come in last game against Czech Republic or something like that, and he's gonna take it for us like he did against Hungary. Who knows? I don't know. But
I was like to criticize Rambo anyway for messing out of it, because he's sort of done so much for the club, for the country, and being a captain at such a young age as well. Sort of being an Arsenal fan as well, I've always got a soft spot for him, and I was devastated, honestly, when he
never replaced him, did you? Never replaced him.
No, just like so many other players, but let's not dig into that too much today.
With Ramsey, I was really looking forward to him playing a deeper role again, because with other people coming into the squad, like Brennan Johnson, for example, who could possibly play that false 9 role or play that number 10 role, Ramsey, obviously with his injury problems, with his age getting on, I was looking forward to him seeing more of like that number 8 role, and playing a more creative part, just a bit deeper in the pitch, but not to be, unfortunately, not to be. We didn't get to see the best of Ramsey in the Euros because of where he was played. In that number 9, it was clear to, I think, everybody when the first time it was employed, which was the friendly before against Albania. That it wasn't quite there, was it? And then the game against Turkey, where he really came to life and everything, he was playing in number 10. So I think it's clear to me that number 9, that false 9 role for him has to be reevaluated. So I was hoping that he would, Rob Page would have caught onto that and sort of said, no, let's just leave that there for now and try something else, try someone else in the role. Your Harry Wilson, your Di Brooks, your Brennan Johnson, whatever. I don't know. But it's a shame we won't see him in that more creative role, I suppose.
Yeah, because he'd been playing like a more deeper line playmaker role for Juve, hadn't he?
Exactly, yeah. He just broken back into the squad. He started the other day and played extremely well. He's highly rated. Allegri's a fan of him and everything. The Italian press like him, but he, it could be to his detriment at Juve as well. It could be sort of, if he's out for another, spell of months, who knows if he'll ever recover from that at club level. So there you go.
I think it was Allegri that originally bought him in at Juve.
I think so, and then straight out.
Yeah, exactly. Because Sarri came in, he wasn't really a fan of it, because he used to play with someone more like Jorginho. That's why I brought him over to Chelsea. But that's the thing. Ramsey playing deeper for Juve, that could mean, like you said, he could drop into a deeper role with for us, sort of sitting there with Joe Allen. That then allows Ampadu to drop back into the defence, and you can have Davis playing in his natural position, and then you can sort of put someone like David Brooks in. Because I think he scored 2 or 3 for Bournemouth this season. He did have a red card in one of the games, but he started quite well coming back from injury. It was the game he scored, and actually he got sent off, wasn't it?
He's got 2 goals in the EFL Cup. He's got 1 goal, I think, in the Championship from 3 great games. So he's playing, he's scoring. It's looking good. I mean, if we want to jump quickly to David Brooks as well, I'm excited to see what he can do for us this round of fixtures, because he's 24 now. He's someone who, compared to maybe Harry Wilson, who's done all right, compared to, I don't know, Joe Morel, who's playing at a lower level, but has, consistently been fit and ready to go and has played quite well when called upon. David Brooks hasn't really sort of hit on with his Wales career. He scored a couple goals, and it was against Croatia he scored against. He's someone that I would really like to see sort of come into his own in a Wales shirt this round of fixtures and the next. If he's fit, if he's good, if he's scoring, he's one of our best players probably. If you're talking about pure talent and potential, but that group of players that sort of came into the Wales squad after Euro 2016, they're getting on. They're getting into their mid-20s now, so they need to now be. They've got like what? When do you hit your full potential as an attacking midfielder? 27, 8, 9. He's got like 3 years now to sort of put his injury problems behind him and really crack on. And I'd love to see him, stick his stick in the sand and say, like, I'm here to play for Wales. I can do it now and everything. So I'm actually really looking forward to seeing a fit David Brooks play for Wales this time around.
100%, mate. I was excited when I heard he was coming back but I think he came back at the end of last season, didn't he? So sort of stayed fit over the preseason, got all of his injuries behind him, and he started quite well. He's only missed games through suspension, so that's quite good. But it's a bit of a common theme amongst that group of players you just alluded to. They've either sort of not played through not really any fault of their own. They've just not been sort of favoured at their clubs, and maybe sort of James and Ampadu, the two that maybe haven't put the best shifts in. But Brooks, he's sort of mainly down to injury, like you said, and that Dan Juma, one of the other wingers at Bournemouth, he's just moved on. I think he's gone to somewhere in the Netherlands. I think he's Dutch actually, so wanting to move back.
Sure.
So that opens up sort of bit less depth in the squad. So you've got to imagine Brooks will feature quite heavily for Bournemouth this season. I think they've been a bit hit and miss. I think they got battered on the opening day. And then
Scott Parker, isn't it? So
yeah, then they've won a few more games, and Parker's a decent manager. They got a good squad for the Championship as well. He could be a big player for Bournemouth this season, and that'll only help us if he can break into our side. But yeah, he has always sort of had that technical ability that you can really see sort of stand out on the pitch, even when he was in the Premier League. I think he only played maybe a handful of games before he got injured, and he missed most of that season.
I think he was a star player while he was there. He was, I don't remember
him for a fair bit of money as well from Sheffield.
From Sheffield United, yeah. He was the one that was keeping Ben Woodburn out of the squad when Ben Woodburn went to Sheffield United on loan and everything. So David Brooks one to watch, I think, for this round of fixtures. I wouldn't say I expect him to, but I'd really love to see him make a big difference, So we'll see what happens there. A couple of inclusions have maybe rattled a few people and got a few people scratching their heads. Namely, maybe Johnny Williams. I think a sort of ropey consensus now is saying, in terms of international, he's maybe past his best at this point now. Maybe he's in there a bit on nostalgia, you could say, perhaps. I have no problem with Johnny Williams being there. Do I think other people maybe deserve a bit more? Yeah, I do, yeah. He's gone down to League Two. Is it Swindon he's playing for now?
Swindon Town, yeah.
Swindon Town. So, I mean, it's not the best of signs either, I suppose, in terms of international. He must bring experience. That's got to be said. When we're talking about the younger lads, especially in that kind of attacking midfield role, like Ruben Colwill, for example, he could give Ruben Colwill a lot to work on. Like he could definitely help him in his development and everything. But Johnny Williams is not one that everybody seems to see eye to eye on in that inclusion. What's your opinion when it comes to Johnny Williams featuring for us now?
I'd agree with you. I wouldn't say I was, I can't remember the word you used, rattled. That was it. As some other people were that Johnny Esther was put in. I think it's mainly for nostalgia for me as well, but I do think there are players that are more deserving. We'll get on to those in a moment. But, you look at the players in that midfield, probably Ramsey and Allen are the only two who've got more caps than him in there. So you got to guess it is sort of more for having more experience in that squad, because you look at a lot of the names, it's quite a young side, and one of the youngest sides at the tournament in the summer. I think 26 in a few months was the average age of our squad, maybe even 25 or something. It was one of the youngest at the Euros. So
we're just rattling up saying how we need experience in the back, and then we've gone and said Johnny Williams shouldn't be there. So a bit hypocritical around, but
Well, no, that's the thing. Maybe that is the reason he's put him in there, and he is a good player that on his day can sort of turn up, set a few. I think was it Sunderland? He was. Oh no, he was at
Sunderland for a while. Yeah.
Was he anywhere in between?
He went to Cardiff. He went to Charlton. He's become a bit of a journeyman, hasn't he? He's gone a bit all over the place.
Yeah, that's the other thing. He's never sort of quite settled at a club, and I think that's probably been to his detriment now at this stage of his career. But
totally agree. Yeah.
It's a bit up in the air who's going to start in those other midfield positions, with Ramsey maybe being available for the Estonia game, but that's a maybe. And if Juve let him join up with the squad as well. But who would you have included Johnny Williams, or would you have called someone else up?
Me personally, no. I wouldn't have included Johnny Williams in this round. I think he was quite lucky, in fact, to make it to the Euro squad, really. but you can't knock his contribution. You know, he's always there to play for the shirt. He's a big name amongst Wales fans and everything. You know, you look at the difference in the Nations League when he came on against Bulgaria, I want to say, and scored. Yeah. So, you know, he's got it in his locker and everything. And being there, it doesn't annoy me. But do I think there's people that should be there over him? Maybe, yeah. The other one that's really sort of confused me as to his inclusion, which is a bit out of the blue, is George Thomas. I mean, he's gone to Queen's Park Rangers this season, so he's finally getting some football under his belt and everything. I think he's played every game for QPR. But, he, you know, for me, in my mind, George Thomas, just from previous, I don't think he got a cap as well until the USA game. But I think in my head, he's a central midfielder. He's a sort of, I don't know if I'm wrong. There's very little I know about him. But he's been used by QPR as like this right wing back, which is, again, maybe playing him out of position. Maybe he's been included for cover in that right back role, as we were talking about with Connor Roberts not being there. But again, George Thomas, you know, just a bit out of the blue, I thought. I haven't heard any raving about him or anything like that, you know. So
yeah, that was probably the other surprise inclusion for me. I think he's sort of more of a winger type player than central midfielder, so that might be why he's been playing as a wing back for QPR. I don't really know too much about him. I think, was he at Leicester a while ago?
He was at Leicester, yeah.
Youth setup, maybe.
He's been to a few clubs on loan and stuff, I think, with Leicester.
Was he at Forest Green a year or two ago?
He's been at Coventry.
I don't know if I'm making
before Leicester. He's gone to Scunthorpe. It was George Thomas that went out on loan to a Dutch team. And he had a really good season in the Eredivisie, and you know, a bit of a fan favourite with him for that year that he was there. And then he's gone back to Leicester. I think he's gone straight out to Queen's Park Rangers. But he has been playing this season, so you've got to give him that. You know, if he's got 3 appearances in the Championship under his belt, that's definitely in his favour, isn't it? It's a similar situation with Matt Smith, no? Who hasn't played a lot for us. But in fairness, when he has played for us, he has impressed me, to be honest, Matt Smith. He's a bit more solid than maybe some of the other options in that area. So, I don't know, Matthew Smith is now, he's a City player, isn't he? But he's on loan at Hull. So, and he has been playing in the Championship, which is good because it means, you know, another option in that sense. But Matt Smith makes sense to me. George Thomas maybe just a little bit less, just through maybe lack of knowledge. I was there saying he was a centre mid a minute ago, so it shows you what I know.
I don't know. I could be wrong about that, mate. There is a few names I'd much rather have seen called up, though. I think Will Vaulks is the obvious one. You know, he's playing at a good level in the Championship for Cardiff. He's starting. Yeah. I think the majority of their games when he's fit or not suspended.
I don't know if he's been starting this season, though. I'm not sure. He didn't play the other day. I don't think.
I don't really. Don't follow Cardiff City that much as people do by now. But yeah, people seem to be split on him being in the Wales squad, though. That's one of the things I've noticed. I've seen a few City fans maybe sort of nudging the notion that he's a bit of a liability sometimes. But in terms of the experience in that midfield and, you know, the other players in there that could be considered maybe a liability at times. But that's probably due to the level of football they're playing at, which, you know, they can only improve by sort of, you know, putting themselves out there and trying to get moved to another club.
His constant exclusion is getting to the point now that it's so glaring. It's become an issue now for a lot of people because similar to, like, we'll get onto a Jeffcott in a minute. So many people have been calling it. He's just not getting there. I don't think he's been in the squad once under Robert Page. I don't think. So
he was pushed out or unused under Giggs as well. So I don't know if it's something there.
I wonder if
Page hasn't called him up.
I wonder if it's a football issue. Yeah,
have we? If it's a football issue or a personal issue, that's why everyone's confused. I think
it could just be that he sees better options in that area, or he sees more potential in other options. Because Vaulks is like in his late 20s now, I think, isn't he? Mm-hmm. So it could be a matter of, you know, that people. Page seeing people like your Matty Smith and everything, a bit more potential, a bit more, space to grow. But, you know, it is just so glaring every single time. I'm getting bored of it, of talking about him not being included, although I think he should be included. I don't know. It's one of the, maybe it's just not a football thing. Maybe he just doesn't get on well. Maybe, I don't know, words have been had with the manager or something. Maybe he has something of a reputation that we don't know. I haven't got a clue, but it's just every single time, shock horror, no Will Volks, you know. So, but the rest of it looks
all in that changing room.
The rest of it looks pretty predictable, I'd say. I was expecting Ruben Colwill to be called up. I still haven't seen anything of Ruben Colwill. I think he's featured once or twice as a sub for Cardiff this season, but he's got, I don't know, with him being included in the Euros, I think Robert Page has put quite a big, lump of expectation on the lad now. I think a lot of us will be, because it definitely perked up everyone's ears when he was chosen for the Euros over some other lads, being so young and everything. Now there's a lot, for me at least, I've got a lot of expectation on him. I'm excited to see what he can do. Was it the right decision? Is he up to it? Is he, should we be getting excited about him? I don't think anybody really knows, including Cardiff fans. I think, that they haven't seen that much of him either. But I wasn't surprised to see him there, and I hope he gets a run out at Finland. I'd like to see what he can do, what he can offer.
Definitely, with him being sort of the surprise inclusion for the Euro squad as well, there was a lot of hype around them, and we got to see a few little glimpses of him win this first cap and that. But I'd like to see a bit more, like you said, especially in a Finland game where sort of the more fringe players are going to be vying for maybe not starting in the 2 qualifiers, but looking to be bought on if we're chasing the game, or looking for a goal to win it or something, or even somebody looking to hold on to a lead maybe.
Sure.
The other player I'd like to say I think is unlucky to miss out though, Josh Sheehan, and
Big
I'd
time.
mainly put him in the hat because he's playing at League One, playing with Bolton, so it's a bit higher level.
Tearing it open by all accounts, no?
Yeah, excuse me. Sorry, he scored 2 goals so far, and I think he's got 1 assist as well. He did get
in
the
4
winner
games.
in one of Bolton's games as well. So
I think Bolton fans are pretty enamoured with him. I think they're really, really impressed with what he's brought to the team and everything. People going as far as to say he's one of the best players in the squad, if not the. I wouldn't be surprised to see a championship team pick him up in the summer or something if he carries on this form for them. It's very early doors, of course, but I think he's very unlucky not to get called up here. He, again, another one that's playing regular football now in League One, which is as much as more than we can say for like Johnny Williams, for example, now, and some of the others like Matt Smith and George Thomas, who haven't been playing maybe this season, yes, but in the past, no. And when he's played for Wales, I think he's had 1 cap or 2 caps. He's impressed. It doesn't, at the time he's playing for Newport County in League Two, and he didn't look like a League Two player. He didn't look out of place or like he was struggling or anything. So I feel for the lad. I think he definitely deserved it, and I think if he carries on his form in League One this season with Bolton, with the next round of international fixtures, if he's not there again, that will be interesting.
Yeah, definitely. I'm quite gutted he's not included. Because I think a lot of Newport fans as well, they were saying when he left, they quite expected him to go, and he was sort of playing in League Two, but at least a League One standard, maybe in a Championship standard player. But don't know until he gets a chance to play in those leagues. I think he's taken to League One, sort of like a duck to water. He's playing in a side that's had a bit of instability as well the last couple of years. I don't know how Bolton are getting on this season actually, but they've won a couple of games from what I remember. So I don't know if he's necessarily turning them around, but he looks like a good piece of their squad. And if he's scoring goals as well, how many players in that side are scoring goals on a regular basis? Those are the players you need to bring in, aren't they?
It's goals from midfield that we need as well, big time. To go the next step forward, we need goals from midfield, because where have all our goals come from? They come from Kiefer Moore, from Daniel James, Ramsey in the Euros. Apart from that, I mean, who else is scoring? I mean, Nico Williams nicked one against Finland. In fact, I think it was
Connor Roberts. Turkey as well.
Turkey and
set piece.
Exactly. So goals from midfield that are becoming, the lack of is becoming another bit of a glaring issue in my mind. Harrelson hasn't scored for Wales since the Belgium game. Well, he hasn't really played for Wales. I'm talking about the Belgian game like it was a million years ago.
In that game, though, wasn't he?
He was playing as that false 9, I think, which surprised that he didn't do that in the Euros, because he wouldn't have scored that absolute beauty of a goal. But whatever, that's another issue. But goals from midfield is something we need to be looking at, especially from the centre of the park. If we play like a 4-3-3, that bit in the middle, it needs to do more than hold. Really, it needs to offer something going forward. Another big exclusion for me that I was surprised about actually was in the midfield was, if you can count as a midfield, is Ben Woodburn maybe. I think he made sort of strides in pre-season with Liverpool, showing how versatile he can be when given the chance. It impressed a lot of the fans. Earned himself a loan move up to Hearts, which has been confirmed in the last 24 hours or so, I think. I would have liked to have seen him get a chance, in all honesty. He's a goal scorer when he plays. And if he could play, like we talked about in the last podcast, if he could have been used maybe in that centre three as a more attacking option, that would have been nice. So I was a bit, I don't know if I expected him to be good, but I thought he had a chance. Better chance in the last few camps and everything. So I thought, maybe it's not a glaring omission. I can use the word glaring all the time. It's not a massive omission, but I would have liked to have seen him get a chance there, at least be in the squad. Yeah, another one that's going on. Yeah.
I don't know. I think maybe because he hasn't played a lot for any of the clubs he's been at recently, in Page's eyes, he might have to sort of string a few matches together, starting for Hearts or coming off the bench and doing well, that sort of thing. But, he's engineered himself another load move away. Like you said, he's played well for Liverpool, and we heard about him playing as a rag wing back and sort of getting rave reviews about that, which, don't really see him as playing in that position. But looking at sort of the holes in this squad at the minute that we've already touched on, it wouldn't be handy to have a sort of utility player that can sort of play as a 10, play out wide if we need him as well.
Yeah.
So even chipping in the defence. But
the final thing,
it's as bad a midfield as a lot of people were making out. But sort of with Ramsey being a bit here or there, whether he'll be there for the last game, it does make you wonder.
Well, who comes in for Aaron Ramsey? If he doesn't make it, it's clear he's not going to make it for the Estonia game and everything. Who comes in for him? I think it has to be Josh Sheehan, no?
Yeah, I think. Well, that's the thing. I don't know if they've called another person up or if they're planning to, but for me, it would have to be Josh Sheehan.
For all the reasons we said, no? I mean...
Yeah, Will Vaux isn't getting called up, is he?
It's just not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. It's beyond now. It's gone. The final thing, touching on the midfield... Well, I've got a bit more to say maybe about Brennan Johnson, but about the midfield for an omission as well, is this Sorba Thomas. Have you heard anything about it? Playing for Huddersfield as a winger?
This is the young lad I was thinking of who's playing as... I think he's playing as a wing back, isn't he?
For Huddersfield, I'm not sure.
Don't know why I thought it was Wickham. It is Huddersfield. Sorba Thomas. I think he's been doing really well, hasn't he? He's got man of a match in a few of the games.
He's set up 2 goals and everything. There's a bit of hype around him. Qualifies for Wales, so his mother was born in Newport, I think. Maybe a bit of a surprise. He looked like the one that, usually they bring on one new lad every camp or something like this, and I thought maybe he could have been in this time. There's definitely a bit of hype around him. People seem to be a bit like, nudging the shoulder. I think after this round of international fixtures, people will be a bit more aware of him and they'll maybe keep a bit more of an eye on the Huddersfield results and stuff, looking for what happens there. But I can't pretend to know a lot about him, in all honesty. I can't say that I watch 90 minutes of Huddersfield on the regular, to be honest with you. But that's just another one. So the final thing I wanted to touch on as well is Brennan Johnson. Now, I personally, when we did about the season sort of preview and everything, I said him to be my one to watch. I think it was what we went for. What do you expect to see from Brennan Johnson? Do you think he'll feature?
I'd like to see him start in the friendly. I don't know if I want to see him sort of play as a false 9. I don't really like when we play that system, to be honest with you. But I imagine Kiefer Moore's not going to start. He's been doing really well playing as a 10 for Lincoln last season. I think he got 11 assists and maybe 5 or 6 or 7 goals in League One. That would have been playing with them. And I think he's broke his way into the Nottingham Forest team this year, or at least he's playing sort of semi-regularly. I think he set a goal up. I think it was in the Bournemouth game, actually, where Dan James got sent off. I think he set the goal up in that. Don't know if he scored yet this season, but he looked like... yeah, sorry. Who did I say?
Dan James.
Dan James. Oh, fuck.
That's good. Bournemouth, that wouldn't be a bad move for Dan James.
No, it wouldn't be, actually. But yeah, I've been quite impressed with what I've heard about Brennan Johnson. Haven't seen a lot about him, but I think he got one of the Team of the Week cards on FIFA. One of the weeks where he got a hat-trick for Lincoln. So that was quite a cool thing to see for a young Welsh player. But by all accounts, he's been fantastic in the under-21 setup, scores a lot of goals, really creative, sort of dynamic player as well, good dribbling, decent range of passing. So he's exactly the sort of...
And he's played all 4
player
games. He's featured at least in all, I don't know if he started all 4, but he's featured all 4 games for Nottingham Forest, who are a team with big ambitions and everything as well. So if they're putting a bit of faith into the lad, that's a good sign, really. I mean, everybody knows how big a club Nottingham Forest are, even if they aren't achieving maybe what fans want them to be at the moment. I would like to see him feature at least in the Finland game, and maybe a cameo, you know, especially if we've got a goal up or so in the Belarus or Estonia game. I don't see any reason why he couldn't start in any of those games. If he's starting for Nottingham Forest, and as well in like a quite an advanced role in that 10 position, it could be a nice little wild card to have, something that maybe the opposition team aren't expecting. If we were to play a false 9 system, I think Brennan Johnson or Harry Wilson would be my choice to go in there. We'll get onto it in a little bit as well, but we have only got one out-and-out striker in the team again, which does kind of tell me that Robert Page hasn't discarded the false 9 system, to be honest with you, which is a bit worrying, I think, for a lot of people. But maybe Brennan Johnson is what he's got in mind for that. So I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I think with the holes in midfield, he should definitely be looking to start Johnson. A lot of people want him to come in for the Euro squad. I think he missed out on the final cut, did he?
He did, yeah, for Colwell.
So, but yeah, he's another one of those, he's a bit younger than that sort of James and Ampadu generation, isn't he? So he's one of the ones now that we're hoping to come through from the youth setup and really stake a claim. And sort of a Ramsey, when he is fit, probably looking to want to drop a bit deeper and play as a pair with Allen, maybe. That 10 shirt will be up for grabs, and you want to have sort of the likes of Brooks and Johnson and maybe even Wilson sort of fighting for it. Sheehan too as well, if he can break his way into the... But you want that competition for places, especially in a side like this. But should we move on? And should only be a short little section because there's only 4 names. Well, talk about I think they call it forwards because if it was strikers, Kiefer Moore would be there on his own, wouldn't he?
Exactly, yeah. Well, I think they call it forwards to avoid the embarrassment of it, isn't it? So one striker again. Now, our biggest criticism of Robert Page after the Euros was having only brought one striker, how he limited himself. Obviously, Kiefer Moore getting booked as he tends to do at the international level for whatever reason you want to put on it. There are about a million things you could say, and none of it would be his fault, probably. One striker again, Nohal Robson-Kanu, which I think his ship has probably sailed at this point now. I think if he wasn't to be included in this squad, that was probably it for him. But Tyler Roberts doesn't play as a striker as he once did. For me, it means there's going to be a false 9 system in one of the games, to be honest. If Kiefer Moore gets booked in one of the games, then there's no other choice, is there? Because you've got to save him for the Belgium or the Czech Republic game. So what do you do? Nightmare.
Should have checked before. I can't remember if Kiefer Moore's picked up a yellow card already. Yeah, to be honest, he probably has.
Probably.
But UEFA competitions are notoriously strict. I think it's 2 yellow cards and you get 1 match ban. So
this is FIFA, isn't it? We've been going off of UEFA before. This is FIFA.
It's a World Cup, isn't it? Moron.
Yeah. I don't know. Do UEFA handle the European? Let's go with that.
We can blame both of them because they both have the moments. But you've summed it up very well there. We've got one out-and-out striker.
Who should be there, Martin? Who should be there?
Do we say it again? Because I'm sure people are getting bored of hearing us say it, or they might be, massively agreeing with us. And
he deserves it.
Against the wall, wondering why Luke Jeffcott hasn't been called up.
Justice for Luke. He's in the under-21 squad, which I think just about explains it. He is in the under-21 squad, so he's obviously seen probably as too important for that under-21 squad to make the jump. I don't think you can make an argument for him not having done enough to be in this squad. I think it'll be more to do with the fact that maybe the under-21 squad needs him, or you could argue that maybe it's one last sort of hurrah for him in that squad, one last chance to sort of squeeze every bit out of him before he's ready to make that jump. I don't know, but I really wanted him to be there this time because of the Euros, because we only had one striker and everything. I really wanted to see him. And again, these are the easiest fixtures we're probably going to have in the group, touch wood. what better time to give him a chance to, you know, to blood him through, to give him a chance to find the back of the net, boost his confidence, ready for some of the bigger fixtures to come. Nightmare.
That's the thing. That's the main counter argument I've heard when people have been talking about why he might not have been put. Well, why he hasn't been put in there, should we say? You know, he hasn't got much experience playing above League One. Why he hasn't got any? I don't think. You know, it's fair enough, but especially like you said with this round, the fixtures, Finland in a friendly, and then Belarus and Estonia, we should be looking to. I don't say comfortably beat, but we should be looking to grind out wins against those sort of teams nowadays. You should be birthing players like Jeff Cotton Johnson and trying to name any more. I can think of maybe even like Levitt. You should be looking to bring them in, sort of get him the experience of the game time.
No, we didn't talk about Levitt, did we?
Yeah, but you know, he's on his engineered to move away. He could be. He'd probably be used as a squad player at. Oh, it's not done for. No, it's Dundee United.
Dundee,
that horrible orange and black kit that looked like a Duracell battery. But no, yeah, I think Jeff Cott's very unlucky to miss out. He had brilliant season last year. I don't know if you can call it a breakout season, but especially sort of September through the start of the year, he was scoring every week, popping up on Wales Fan Zone TV, and all the podcasts were talking about him. He scored 4 and assisted 2 in 6 games this season. He did start in the Swansea game on would have been Tuesday night, but Plymouth didn't play very well.
4-1 was it?
4-1 it was. We'll get onto that later. But he's starting in most games for Plymouth this year, so he's getting games consistently. As we said before, not a lot of players in those forward positions apart from Bale's featuring for Madrid now, which is a good thing, and he was playing a lot more for Spurs at the end of the year.
Scored the other day. Scored against.
Was it Getafe?
No, it wasn't Getafe. It was. Oh God, this is gonna annoy me. No. Oh my God, I should know this. I watched the game. It was 3-3. Oh mate, I'm gonna Google this now because it's annoying me. But yeah, he scored. I think he set up Benzema as well. One of them. So there you go. I mean, he's obviously with Carlo Ancelotti being in the Levante, the team from Valencia. Yeah. With Carlo Ancelotti coming in, he's given Bale a chance. He has been stripped of the number 11 jersey, which really rattled my cage. Really ground my gears at, talking to people here as well, they just won't have it. It's like it's a disrespect. It shouldn't happen. It's like, yeah, but he went on loan and everything. So yeah, but no matter. He's look what he's done for you. Look what he's done for your club, man. How many Champions Leagues have you won? How many goals has he scored in the Champions League for you? Whatever. Never mind. But yeah, he's got a good run in the squad. I think there's been two games. He's played both of them. He scored one. I think I'm right in saying he assisted Benzema in the same game and everything. The Spanish press not getting on his back as much as usual. Yeah, there's a headline from Marca, which is the big football paper here, saying the smile has returned and everything like this, and on some of the sports news and everything on the national telly here in Spain, they've been showing pictures of him applauding goals and everything when they've gone in when he's been on the bench and celebrating with the team and stuff, and then comparing it to previous seasons, when he was sat there, giving it all the beans and everything like this, like messing around. So he seems to be getting the Real Madrid. I wouldn't say maybe the fan, but maybe the Spanish press and the Spanish media and the coaches back in a little bit more, which is good to see. Could do wonders for his confidence and everything. I wonder what happened with Gareth Bale, because you remember with the Euros and everything when he said he wasn't going to tell anybody what was going to happen with his future because it would cause a riot and everything. So it's hardly a riot going back to Madrid for a year, is it? What happened there? I think the change in managers had a lot to do with it, hasn't it? Probably. Ancelotti clearly likes him. I don't know if he. No, I was going to say I don't know if he was with Madrid when Ancelotti managed him in the past, but I don't think so. Ancelotti managed Madrid a long time ago, didn't he?
Yes. Was it about the time he arrived there, or maybe a couple of years after? I think they might have worked together before in Madrid. I'm sure I remember
I'm not sure.
Hearing someone say that. But even still, he's come back into favour well there. Yeah, with oh God, he's moved on from Madrid this season.
I don't know.
I don't think anyone has. Am I making that up? Has he just come back into the squad? See, this is a problem when you don't follow Spanish football. You're a little trickle about Gareth. They're like, oh, he scored it in midweek and he set one up, and like, oh yeah, great. Oh, is he playing again? Well, but no, that's what we need. We need him sort of coming back into the side of Madrid. Ramsey's doing the same with Juve. Obviously, we've spoken about the circumstances there. It's just a case of getting the likes of Dan James and Tyler Roberts, and we can talk about Harry Wilson as a forward generally as well. He's been featuring a bit more for Fulham as far as I know this year. I don't know, do you reckon the likes of Dan James should look for a loan move out from United or something like that? Or I think we spoke about this a week or two ago, didn't we?
Yeah, I think the stories between Tyler Roberts and Daniel James are quite similar in that they both were bought sort of maybe a little bit before, a bit prematurely for their clubs, where Tyler Roberts was playing for
West Brom.
Was it West? He was on loan. He was going on loan everywhere, wasn't he? And Dan James, obviously, for Swansea. Both of them bought maybe just that little bit before they had the chance to really develop in the squad they were in. I mean, Dan James obviously had an incredible breakout season with Swansea, but if he had another season in the Championship to really sort of ground himself, bulk himself out a little bit, get his strength about him, and just a bit more knowledge of the game, then maybe he wouldn't have so many problems with the fans in United. Same for Tyler Roberts. The Leeds fans don't particularly like him. They think he's had enough of a chance now. He hasn't really done enough with it. It's probably time he moved on. However, he was given another contract in the summer, I believe, Tyler Roberts. So an interesting one for both of them. I think the managers in both their respective squads fancy him and I think they're up to it and everything, but the fans seem to not quite be on their side, especially Daniel James. Daniel James gets a lot of abuse from United, but that's the nature of United fans, isn't it? There you go. But Man United fans. I've made a pact to myself to stop just saying United. I was listening to, the Square Ball podcast.
Yeah.
For Leeds United. And they were saying how they hate it when everybody calls Man United, because there's a million Uniteds. Why are they the United? Newcastle United, Leeds United, Sheffield United, all these things. So I've made a pact, I'm not going to call Man United United. So, but yeah, Daniel James, we've said many times, he seems to be a confidence player. He feels the love and everything when he plays for Wales, so he plays better. He started the first game of the season for Manchester United when they beat Leeds 5-1. Didn't play badly, but he didn't show his best side, in all honesty. When you are on the pitch, though, with Paul Pogba playing the way he played in that game, and Mason Greenwood, who's a real talent and everything like that, who's maybe a bit younger than and stuff, maybe it is a bit harder to shine, and the mistakes you do make stand out a little bit more and everything. I would like to see Daniel James move away from Man United because, one, I don't like Man United, and two, I think he maybe at a club level, week in, week out, maybe he isn't at that level. I think he's got it in him, definitely, but it is true that in certain games recently for United, he hasn't played as well as maybe he could. And he's lost his place now already. 2 games in, he's lost his place. It's not the best sign for him, really. I would love to see him playing for the Southampton. We always go to Southampton, you notice this, for our bit lower, Southampton playing for, I don't know, who plays for Brighton, who are having a cracking season. I think he could do very well at Brighton because he does, for us, he finds the back of the net. So why, they're desperate for a proper striker, especially I think Morpay's on his way out, isn't he? He's going to Everton, I think. Morpay. So who knows? Dan James is a shoe-in to start, obviously, because he's our best attacking output in recent times. Tyler Roberts won't start, I'm quite sure, in the qualifiers. However, when he has played for us, when he's come on and made an appearance, he's brought energy. Of course, playing for the Marcelo Bielsa team, energy is something that you have to have in abundance. Otherwise, you're on the next flight home, I guess. So I think Tyler Roberts, again, like we talked about with Brennan Johnson, he could be a bit of a live wire to chuck in there. If things aren't going our way. But I don't know. What's your take on all this?
Yeah, I agree with you there. We've basically got our front 3 for the qualifiers there. You imagine it'll be James, Moore and Bale, probably for both if suspensions and injuries are kind to us. I agree with everything what you said about Dan James. Proved when he moved to United, because he had a pretty good run in his first 5 or 6 games where he scored a couple of goals, sets him up. He can play at that level, but can he sort of play for a club like United? what 25, 30 games a season and churn out that sort of that level of performance that the fans are going to demand, because the attack, isn't it? And if not, the Stratford end are giving you digs and boos. I mean, probably most fans demand that from a lot of their clubs, don't they, and their players. But I do think Dan James could benefit from a move away, but I can't really see it happening with he's one of the depth options in United's squad, so I can't really see them loaning him
He's so
out.
consistently linked with Leeds United after that move fell through. I think if he had made that move to Leeds United, I think he'd be a different player now. I think he'd be far better a player for it. I think
he was a coach like Bielsa as well. That would have benefited him so much. I think you look how players like Jack Harrison, and I don't want to say Rafinha because he was really good for, was it Lille? Yeah, came over somewhere in France, wasn't it? Was it Rennes? Can't remember.
I think it was Rennes. I think you're right. Yeah, Rennes. Rafinha's wicked. Yeah, he's dead good. Didn't he? He's dead good.
Look how Bamford's come on under a manager like Bielsa. You would have hoped the same would have been for Tyler Roberts, but he hasn't been used as extensively throughout the season. He's more of a rotation option for Leeds, and he's sort of a bit of a utility player, because I think the game he started, the friendly, did he play more as a winger on the right side?
I think so, yeah.
I think the front three were drifting about quite a bit, but he's, he can play anywhere across the front three. I always thought it was a striker to begin with. I think that's
me too. But Tyler Roberts can't finish his dinner. He can't finish his dinner for love of money. He just can't score. He scored 1 goal last season, I think, for Leeds, and that's obviously the Leeds fans' biggest issue with him, is that nearly every single player in the Leeds squad scores except Tyler Roberts. He needs to put his shooting boots on if he's going to appear for us. He needs to show us what he can do, and he needs to put it in the onion bag, basically, doesn't he? For us and for Leeds. But with Daniel James as well, going back to the Leeds thing, now Leeds fans don't want him. Now it's got to the point where they're like, Christ, no, don't get Dan James. And that reputational damage to the lad is disappointing, really, isn't it?
It's awful, because he does seem like a real confidence player, but I'll echo again, you said about sort of Tyler Roberts not scoring. I think that's where a lot of the frustration with this squad announcement comes from. You've got sort of a lot of players who've been picked quite often, haven't really delivered the goods necessarily a lot of the times, and you've got players who are actually performing at club level and they're not being selected, and it is just a bit like, sort of why. I understand Page is sort of probably quite settled in the squad he can work with, and he knows these names inside out, because most of them went to Euro 2020 and featured in a few of the camps before that. But some, as we said, some names would have probably changed in there myself. But we're not in the training every day,
we see so little, don't we? I mean, I think a lot of podcasters forget this, is that we just see so little of the real deal and real situation, what's actually going on. It's all just opinion at the end of the day. There'll be those of us, those of people that will agree and disagree with the things we say and things we don't say. At the end of the day, the way we see it is, I think we both agree that it's kind of what was expected, kind of disappointing in certain omissions, but there's enough promise in there maybe to probably get us through these fixtures at least. I think I personally see the squad announcement as a whole as more of a missed opportunity to blood in some promising young talent. Some people who have probably earned it, they haven't got it. A chance for them to sort of make it more seamless, their transition to the first team or to the going up from under 21s or whatever. So in a way, it's a shame, but as we're very lucky to have Gareth Bale fit and in good form. We're very lucky to have players like David Brooks, who is again fit and in good form. Kiefer Moore, he's already got off the mark for Cardiff. Harry Wilson's, by all accounts, shown a very good side of himself in the Championship with Fulham, having scored and being sent off, which seems to be his new trait. Joe Allen, we've got Joe Allen, so it is good. We have got some, players that have it in oftentimes in the past not been fit, and we have missed them. We have got them at our disposal. With Joe Allen in midfield, I feel very comfortable. With Gareth Bale in the top, now he has to score. That's his thing, isn't it? Gareth Bale has to score in this international break. If he doesn't score, then one of them, similar to like Aaron Ramsey's injury record, you're just going to be like with your hands up in the air, like, why not? Why isn't he scoring?
Yeah, there was a record everyone was touching on in the Euros, or like a run he hasn't scored for so many games. I think it's
I mean,
probably
he practically
15,
scored
16,
the
something like that after.
he practically scored the Conor Roberts goal for Conor Roberts, didn't he? But there you go.
That's the thing, he's a big player in another sense for us at the tournament over the summer, but yeah, it's just another little sort of annoying little monkey on his back, probably, and so it's starting to become a bit like a jinx now because it's going on for so long. But
The more you
I'm
talk
sure
about it,
it'll
the more
break
you notice
soon.
it, innit?
But,
So
I just before we move on to a few EFL Cup results, out of 1 to 10, 6 points in these two qualifiers, how confident would you say you are?
good question. That I would give it. I'm quite confident that we'll do it. I don't think we'll make easy work of it. We never do. We never do. I foresee 2-1-0 wins. We're talking 70, 80 odd minutes. I think we'll get the job done. I do. I'm going to give it. I'm always very positive when it comes to Wales. Maybe too much so, but I would go for maybe 8 out of 10. Sure, quite sure they will get the job done. I mean, we've got Joe Allen, we've got Gareth Bale. Like we were saying before, we've got players that we need to have. We're going to miss Ramsey, of course, but I think we can get there. I think the big question is going to come when in the next round of fixtures when we've got Czech Republic and Belgium again, because it's going to be a big test to see where we are after the Euros. What about you? What would you give it if you were going to give it a punctuation?
Yeah, I'd probably say an 8 as well. After speaking today on this show, I do feel a lot more confident going into this. I was a bit disheartened, like you said. A lot of people seem like they were on
The
Twitter.
mood's just not quite right, is it?
Yeah, but you look at the names in that squad, there's definitely enough to build sort of a spine of a team and then have a few players coming in and around just to do a job for 60 minutes or 70 minutes and then have someone else come in to finish it off. I should have looked at the world rankings to see where Belarus and Estonia are, but we're going to be a fair bit above them. But we're travelling quite a way to Kazan for the Belarus fixture, so that comes into it. But
Don't get
the
me started
Estonia game as
again.
well, we're going to have a full capacity at the Cardiff City Stadium, hopefully. So, they're going to have quite a lot of the red wall in there, you'd imagine. At least
Yeah, I
probably
agree.
20,
I think it's
30,000.
going to be massive, isn't it? Another thing about the Kazan thing is there, of course, not going to be any fans there, which is a shame. But having a full capacity Cardiff City Stadium against Estonia, I don't think you can underestimate what that'll do for the lads and everything. I think one of the big successes, in fact, of qualifying of what we did and everything in the Euros, getting to the knockout stages it's the fact we did it without fans. We know how much the red wall means to the lads and how much it gives them that extra push and everything. So I think it could be massive. It could be massive. I think that's, again, what gives me a lot of confidence that we'll get the job done, especially in that Estonia game. I think, for example, the Belarus game, we could just sort of, needle out a 1-0 like we have sort of done in the Nations League. But I wouldn't be surprised if we were to go and win like 4-0 in Cardiff against Estonia. Estonia are the lowest seed as well, has to be said. We do always make hard work of the easy games. So, but the fans being back, fingers crossed. But I mean, I think it'll have a big effect. I could see us rattling a few off on that.
Yeah, definitely. So the little ticker's been going across the screen for like the last 20, 30 minutes, well, hour now actually. For anyone listening on Spotify or anything, of course, Wales are playing Finland on the 1st. That's a Sunday. Is that right, Sam?
Yep.
That's this Sunday. And then we've got Belarus.
No, this Sunday is 28th, isn't it? 29th. I know because it's my girlfriend's mum's birthday on Sunday.
Yes, it is. It's, oh my God, I've got the dates so right. I'm moving house this week as well. I really should have
Wednesday.
this one like that. Wednesday. That's
Wednesday.
It's the Belarus game that's on the Sunday the 5th.
Yeah.
And then the next Wednesday is the Estonia game. I was hoping to try and get tickets for that, but it'll be the 8th will be my 3rd day of a new job, so I don't think I can sort of miss my 4th day of work or go in that time. Cardiff to Chester is not the worst run in the world, but I don't know. Might be pushing it.
You should do it, Martin. You should do it.
If we get the deposit from this house back in time and there's still availability, I might see if Ella fancies a little run out to the
We've done
crazy things.
So yeah, we've got down to Cardiff in more difficult circumstances.
Oh, I wouldn't probably be staying the night. I'd probably be driving straight
Very
back and stopping every half hour for a kip on the motorway. But yeah,
Let
she's
this be a
passed her
lesson to you,
fitness
FAW.
practical, so I can't put her on the insurance to do motorway driving, which is annoying.
Just go through Mid Wales.
It's not much. Yeah. Anyway, should we talk quickly about the EFL Cup because yeah, bit of a mixed bag of results as we said at the top of the show. Going across the bottom of your screen, so I'll just read them out when they come back around. I think on Tuesday it was 2-0. Yeah, Tuesday it was. Brighton beat Cardiff 2-0 at the Amex Stadium. Swansea welcomed Plymouth to the Swansea.com Stadium, it's called now, isn't it?
Yeah, grim. Don't like it.
Not a fan either. That
Not
was
a fan of that
4-1.
kind of thing.
Good result. And yesterday, so Wednesday, with this being recorded on Thursday, Newport got an absolute drubbing at the hands of Southampton. Unfortunately, it was Southampton's biggest away win in the club's history.
I think Newport's worst defeat as well, isn't it?
I think so. I would imagine so. This is going off post-war records as well, because I know there were some wacky scorelines in a pre-war football, but Southampton's biggest away win in a post-war football, and it's quite funny that they've put an 8-0 on a team because they've been on the receiving.
I was about to. You took that from my mouth. It's usually them that get battered 8-0, isn't it? But
yeah,
there you go. Well, Newport are usually the team that. Well, yeah, Newport are usually the team that they make the big. They look forward to the EFL Cup and everything. They've done really well in it in the past, and that they've really had some big giant killings in the past, including Brighton, who played against Cardiff and everything. So shame for them because it can do wonders for the club, kind of having a big cup run like that. So shame for them. But 8-0, that there's no, doesn't leave any questions in the air. That does it? 8-0. The only question is how did we allow that to happen? But I don't know.
I think they made a fair few changes. There were only 5 first teamers, maybe 6 in the starting 11. No Michael Flynn either. Still
of course,
still isolating from COVID.
That.
Like you said, it's a bit of a shame because they have had a few cut runs in the past, and the
could be good for them.
Always helps, and then it could be good for them. I was going to say that keeps certain players fresh for the league. I know there's always that argument at the
start. They have to get promoted this year, don't they? They have to. So. I mean, you can't knock on the door forever because then it just gets to the point. Like Brentford in the Premier League, I know they got promoted this time round, but how many times in the playoffs and everything you don't make it? Play on the players' heads no matter what, no matter if it's a new 11 or whatever, they'll still have that hanging above you. So it could be the best thing that happens to them this season. We don't know yet.
Potentially last matches at Rodney Parade as well. I know they've had trouble last season with the pitch being in an absolute state, and they had to play a few games at the Cardiff City Stadium. So yeah, it's a shame to be honest. Under such a heavy division,
can't feel good.
No, I can't hope it doesn't affect them too much, but they did make quite a lot of changes, awkward circumstances surrounding the manager as well. So hope they'll take the positives from it in terms of keeping players fresh and that, like we said. Should have had a look at who all the teams have got this coming weekend, but I didn't make a note of that. All the so we'll just leave that out for today.
Should we jump to Cardiff then? Yeah, with the defeat, isn't it?
So 2-0 at home, 2-0 away to Brighton, I think. Yeah. I don't know if it's home or away. I've written home in the notes and then put away on the panel. So second guessing myself. Brighton have been unbeaten in all 3 competitive games this season.
I was about to say it's a different
behind twice as well in the Premier League to win, haven't they? So
it's a different outfit this year, isn't it? It's a different kind of proposition with the proposition. I always get different proposition with Brighton this year. They seem to be a lot more assured. They've always played good football and everything, but they've never been able to put the ball in the back of the net, have they? Where they seem to have been able to turn that around this season. Will it last? I don't know. But, again, for Cardiff, not the end of the world. I mean, I think Cardiff are looking pretty good in the Championship, pretty assured. They've probably got their sights quite cleanly onto looking at either playoff or automatic promotion. I know that's their target for this year, apparently, is automatic promotion. I think, am I right in saying Morrison went off injured in that game?
He did, yeah. I can't remember when, but he did go off injured at some point. I haven't heard any injury reports or anything like that. They're probably still assessing to see how bad it is, but hope it's not too bad. He's an important player for City. Club captain, of course, as well, isn't he? So, again, though, Cardiff did make 8 changes from it was the win over Millwall at the weekend. So,
Did Flint play?
I think he did. I think they did create a few chances. Brighton were the better team. They've sort of bigger opposition, of course, but I think Collins at the bar with a header, Flint went close with another header, and another player went close, but they sort of quality showed in that one. They did have a few competitive debuts, though. I think Sam Bowen and Tavio Dalmeida. Don't know if I pronounced that right close. They made their competitive debuts starting, and then I don't know. Let me just.
Because I reckon I'm very curious as to Colby, like we said before. I reckon Cardiff fans are just as curious, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I'm not really sure. Let me just. They played on Tuesday, didn't they?
They did, don't they? Sorry to spring out on you.
Stadium. I've got it backwards on the tick. Where did they put the lineups on here? Near the bottom, of course. No, he was. Oh, he came on for Josh Murphy. With about 20 minutes to go. So
Josh Murphy's a winger, isn't he? Interesting.
Yeah, I don't know if they've shuffled the system about.
Must have.
But yeah.
Comes away, he's like a 10, isn't he? He's like an attacking midfielder.
Yeah. I think the one thing with Cardiff, though, they've started scoring a lot more goals this season. I know they're only a few games in, but scoring all headers as well, I think.
Yeah.
It's disappointing when they score a penalty or a free kick or a half volley.
Yeah, it's got an absolute worldie from outside the box, and we went, oh, broke the streak. But it looks like Swansea's standout fixture. It's a bit weird, a role reversal, because we've been quite impressed with. It's been quite impressed with the Cardiff have been a lot sort of better than Swansea in the Championship, but Swansea have gone sort of role reversal in the Cup, and they've gone and by all means sort of battered Plymouth. No.
Yeah, no, they're very dominant in that performance. Only caught the highlights and read the match report, but 4-1. I know it's coming up against a League One side. I don't know how well Plymouth are doing so far this season, but I think they made a fair few changes as well. I haven't counted how many this time, but Morgan Whittaker got a second half hat trick. Took him 11 minutes to complete it as well. He scored in the 79th minute.
Didn't know that.
I think he scored 3 goals, and the last one was like 90th minute, maybe just into added time. First goal as well, if you go and watch the highlights on the Swansea YouTube, cracking finish. Left foot from sort of the top of the D, a few yards back from that, bent it sort of around a couple of defenders and past the keeper. And then the other two were, I think the third one was with the outside of his boot, but he beat a few players in the box to sort of get the angle to finish it with. So he looks like a tidy player.
Good, yeah.
First goal as well for them. Nice finish from Dan Williams, who's one of the academy products who was in the started lineup. I think the keeper did sort of spill it into his own net, but really nice low left-footed drive from outside the box, about 20 yards out. So good to see the younger lads chipping in with goals for Swansea, because I think a few fans I saw on Twitter were a bit concerned where the creativity was going to come from this season. Not wanting to rely on Dander and Lowe too much. But
I was about to say is that this could really kickstart Russell Martin's career at Swans and everything. This could be the flashpoint in which they they kick on and because goals have been sort of eluding them, really, isn't it? Apart from, I don't know, has anybody else scored apart from Pirot for the Championship? I'm not even sure they have.
I couldn't say, but the goals have been quite scarce for the Swans.
Exactly. So fingers crossed.
Bristol could sort of nick in a win, getting a big win here could kickstart them, like you said.
Right. Well, see what happens to come. But good result for Swansea, bad result for the others.
Luke Jeffcott did not score, unfortunately. He did start the game, and I don't know how he did. So
he deserves to be in the under-21s. How could he not score against Swansea?
That could, that maybe might have been. Oh no, it was on the day after. It was like the evening of the announcement, wasn't it? So it wouldn't have been able to call him up in time.
Never mind.
We can dream. We can dream, Sam. Anyway, that's. Is there anything else you want to get into? Or I think that we've covered everything
we've covered everything, more or less. Yeah. The only thing I was going to mention as well, I forgot to mention with Gareth Bale. Did you see the dig from the owner of PSG on Twitter?
Yes, I did. I sent him a reply telling him not to be so salty with the Mbappe crying. Because I think it was it was to do with Mbappe because.
He said either meet our price or spend the rest of the season with the golfer or something. Oh, okay, now. Put some respect on his name. Put some respect on my boy's name, yeah.
Silly, but they should be chasing Gareth Bale for that PSG side. He'd fit in France.
He'd destroy him. He'd
Take
destroy the
Euro
French
tunnel
league.
to play a few rounds of golf during the week and come back.
We all saw what he did in France in 2016, didn't we?
Oh yeah, you remember? Oh, that was great. Well, we'll try and bring. I don't know if we'll do like a reaction thing after the Finland game, or probably do something before for the Belarus game on Sunday. I forgot the days again then. But yeah, we'll be back again soon with another episode. So like and subscribe and whatnot. All the little pages, I don't know what you call them, various social medias and that. The different platforms are going across the screen, so I'm not going to rattle them out to you. And yeah, we'll see you sometime in the week or next week. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good to see you, Sam. Thank you very
And
much.
yourself,
Enjoyed it.